You're listening to Warrior Talk with Heather Thomas Van Daren and Brant Fricker. Get inspired. Be empowered. Warrior Talk.
Here we go.
Got it. Everybody, welcome to Warrior Talk. Get inspired, be empowered. We are so happy to be here this morning. I'm Heather Thomas Van Daren, in case you didn't know.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm here with my illustrious co-host, Sir Brant Fricker. We are ready to rock and roll, aren't we, Brant?
Hey, I'm feeling very illustrious. And hey, there's Deborah Kemp. She just reacted to Warrior Talk with a heart. Yeah, I understand you did a little trip with Deborah and the
Yes,
awards and all that. I saw the pictures.
Yes, it was so much fun. You guys, I got to show you this. I'm just so proud. God is so good in the midst of turmoil and chaos. Look at this. It's so beautiful.
Oh, turn it a little bit. Let it glimmer.
Let it glimmer. I think you probably can't see the writing, but it is for Female Vocalist of the Year, Gold Cross, Female Vocalist of the Year of the International Country Gospel Music Association.
Well,
and we had so much fun. It really was a blast. Yeah. So I'm fired up. I'm glad to be home. I'm glad to be back with you, Brent, on Warrior Talk. And we didn't get to do our original broadcast last week, so we're going to cover the topic today, and it's a really good one, guys. Before that, we had started the periodical series for women warriors, and we'll be picking that up periodically.
Pick it up.
Pick it up periodically. But today, our topic is ready for the enemy. You think he's not around, guys?
Yeah.
He's here. He's here and he is seeking whom he may devour. So we're going to cover that topic and give you maybe a little bit different insight and encouragement and empowerment to be all you can be and to warrior up.
Amen and amen. And, every time the heat gets on darkness, there's always a new shooting. Have you noticed that? I noticed that because of my work as a news anchor, as a correspondent. It's you can pretty much count on it. When there's a new thing being exposed of darkness, there's another convenient shooter, unemployed, definitely one side of the aisle. And all of a sudden, tens of thousands of dollars in military grade equipment to carry out their murderous rage. And then they always die, of course, right? Most of the time, and the mainstream, the sleight of hand goes to something else. Well, these are times that we have to be ready for, and Heather, the church really has to be ready for it too.
There are some churches that are stepping up to the plate and doing what is necessary, but we've got so much more work to do. There are so many more churches that are still, I don't know, I liken it to an ostrich with his head in the sand. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It upsets me. And we've got to be more proactive and being ready to defend our congregation. And it's a crying shame because, I hate to say it, and I know you'll just say it boldly, Brett, but there is a lot of times that people in the churches are more concerned with growth, programs. What is it you say? Skinny jeans and what it
skinny jeans, big screens, and fog machines. Yeah.
I mean, they're more concerned about that than actually protecting, events, gymnasiums, whatever, those are all good and fine. We need to be out reaching people and bringing them in for, to show them salvation. But guys, if we lose our congregations one at a time because Islamic terrorists or anybody else, somebody that's got a dismantled mind is plucking them off one or two at a time, we're not doing it right.
Right. Yeah. And again, West Texas, Pastor Jeremy Sutton, he utilizes all of the modern tools that churches use to reach people. However, He preaches the word. We know there's so many of you out there that you do use more modern things that came along with the seeker movement. However, you unwaveringly preach the word of God, and you have armed people to protect the people. Hats off to you. And but the rest, you better get ready, and we have to be willing to suit up. We have to be willing to acknowledge there's a problem. I never forget with my band Good Friday. Gosh, 20 years ago, we're doing a concert and we had a song about spiritual warfare. And the pastor said, "We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the devil." I said, "Well, I guess that's why you're defeated, because
Mm,
we are not to be ignorant of the enemy's schemes." And of course,
mm,
17 years ago, trying to tell churches, you better arm up, you better get ready. And how many times have we seen church shootings where people are just laying under the pew praying, and the
yeah.
guy has
Well,
time to reload 3 or 4 times, massacring the innocent? That's not faith, that's stupidity. And we are told not to be ignorant of the enemy's schemes and to put on the armor of God. Ephesians 6:12. Well, there are some translations that would say we fight not only against, but against. Right? I'm just so
mm,
glad, Heather, that the 2%, when the rest of Americans prayed about it, that the 2% fought in the Revolutionary War. Otherwise, we'd be serving tea and crumpets right about now. And we got to wake up to what's going on, and not choose the good over the best. Nehemiah, when there was a threat and they were rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem, Nehemiah said, "Put your sword on one side. Wear your sword as you work." Well, in this day and age, let me tell you, you better have your sword on, not only the sword of the Spirit, but common sense. You need to have your sword on you as you do the work of the Lord, because not everyone coming through those doors is coming to fellowship. Some are
mm.
coming to do the will of their Father, to kill, steal, and destroy. And I'm telling you what, that brings us to women warriors, and we're about to get
Mhm.
that to that as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about not only our series that we've started about, introducing women warriors of the world, but because my daddy raised me right. I'm a country girl. I've handled guns since I was,
Yeah.
I don't know, 7 years old,
Uh-huh.
and he taught me well, and so I am a proficient shooter, and even my husband and I, when we went to get our handgun license, we shot the same score, and he couldn't believe it, but we are, women warriors can be, um, they can be protectors. They can
Right.
handle weaponry. They can do all those things. Ladies, we can do that. They have they have the right size guns for small hands. And, all you have to do is be trained
Right.
with what to do it. That's the key, is to be trained. You said something about that, Brant, about being
Right.
trained, um, to, are you going to really shoot if you have to shoot?
Right. Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I have some interesting friends in different places, and this was a special forces guy, and he was showing me how to quick draw and how to hit the target. But he would always repeat this phrase, and that was, um, in a crisis, you always default to your level of training.
Right.
In a crisis, you always default to your level of training. So if you have none, what are you going to default to? Fetal
Fear.
position under a pew, praying, waiting for the
Yeah.
guy to reload so he can blow
Yeah.
your family away?
Exactly.
Or have you trained yourself to react
Yes.
and to default? And that's spiritual too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's spiritual, and it's a training of your mind. It's your mindset. And it's, first of all, you have to acknowledge who you are in Christ and how important the life that He has
Mhm.
given you and those that you love.
Mhm.
Our lives are important. And we have to defend. My friend Sherry Ellman is on here. I got a funny story to tell you about that, ladies. Um, we were at church together not too long ago, and we were comparing with another lady. We were comparing our purses and how heavy they were. I'm like, oh, you think mine's heavy? Here, hold this. And uh, you think yours is heavy? I don't know how much, you know. And Sherry says, well, she says I'm equipped right now, and she said that's why my purse is so heavy. And I said, you know what? That's why mine's heavy too. So we've got to be willing to use it. Sherry said, I will. She goes, I'll use it.
Oh
She
yeah, I
goes,
saw that.
yeah, she says, I will not hesitate.
Well,
And
yeah.
you have to have that mindset. Fear has to go out the door.
Right.
If you're the only one in the room, in the building, in the restaurant, in the ladies' bathroom, whatever it is, if you're the only one that has protection, you owe it to your fellow man or woman, to defend, or at least
Mhm.
to try. And what we've so funny. We've gone from winning the awards and showing off a beautiful trophy to taking out the enemy.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yes.
and why women warriors? Why? Well, I'll tell you why. We touched on that. And we got such a strong reaction when we were talking about the fact that these jihadists, and there's millions of them in our country. Um, if 19 hijackers could do 9/11, which that's debatable, depends on who you talk to. However, how many? How about 3 million? And so, but they believe that if they're killed by a woman, they won't enter paradise. They won't get
Yeah.
the 72 virgins if they're killed by a woman. And in over 40 years of ministry, I have to tell you that my observation is that women are the most proactive in their spirituality, in their personal development, in their health. Women, and they also decide where to go to church. They decide what house you're going to buy. If mama don't like the kitchen or the bathrooms, you ain't getting that house, no matter how much you like that shop in the back. Uh,
Oh, that's funny.
but the reality is, though, women are the most proactive, and you don't have to convince a woman to protect her child.
That is
You
so
know,
true.
while the enemy delights in convincing women that it's a right to kill their offspring to the worship of Moloch unknowingly or knowingly. Your average woman doesn't have to be told to protect her kids. You look out. You messing my kids. You look
Yeah.
out. And that's why we have to harness the design and the times of raising women warriors.
Mhm.
Lucifer hates you. You were the most. I'm not being flattering here. I'm being honest. The last and most beautiful creation on the earth was woman. And Lucifer hates you for no other reason than just being more beautiful, but he also hates you because you brought forth the Messiah. You brought forth the light. That's why women light candles on Shabbat. It's through, or Passover, through the woman would come the light of the world, you know? And the enemy hates you. And we could go a lot deeper than that. If you have a blue and you have red, when you mix blue and red, what does that make? It makes purple,
Purple. Yeah.
pure color. How about how
Yeah.
about blue and yellow? What does that do? That makes green,
Green.
right? So if you have an undiluted perfect seed and a perfect egg, and one's a pure color and a pure color, what do you have? You have a pure color. But what happens when you combine blue and red and green? Well, it becomes murky. And that's not only what happens when a man goes outside of his marriage and brings back a bad element, but it's also what has happened through the curse, through Genesis 6, through the Nephilim, through the corrupted seed. So the only way to bring forth the light of the world was a pure seed with a pure egg. I'm being frank here, and that made the Messiah. It had to come from a pure source, and that is God. And so Satan hates you because you're more beautiful. He hates you because through you comes the light of the world. He hates you because you have the power to make life. Yes, it requires a little bit of help, but only you can have a baby. Only you can do that miracle. Not some deluded communist pedophile with a wig that calls himself a woman, but you are very special women. And here we are. My gosh, the 1990s call to, hey, be a better guy and keep your promises. Those days are over.
Mm,
You got to be warriors, you know?
yeah.
And I would be happy if I could even get a return phone call from that organization to encourage them to do that. That's a different story. But you don't have to chase a woman to protect her child. You are warriors, and that's why when we have the cowards, that's a type of radicalism, or the Islamists, the other type of bloodthirsty radicals, they can come into your church. I'm looking to see women warriors, and so are you, Heather. You're being asked to speak more as well
Yeah.
on this, and we struck a nerve because the time is now to raise women warriors.
You were so right. And there have been women warriors since the beginning of time. And it's just that it seems like to me and the millennia here, we are starting to realize that the real value of women, I guess, especially since society is trying to downplay it and, take women away from their natural being. And, with all of the stuff that's going on with trans this and trans that, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But there have always been women warriors since the beginning of time. You can go back to Deborah in the Bible and others, but we have that story of that one woman, Brant, in 2007.
Hmm.
She was a retired Minnesota
Yep.
police officer,
Mhm.
and she was the member of this very large church. And I think it was Colorado Springs. Is that where it
Yep.
was?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And she was still proficient with a weapon. And so she had offered this one particular day to be on the security team for her church. And that was the day that somebody decided to barge into the church and start shooting things up.
Right.
And he was only able to take, and two losses is horrible in itself, okay? But he was only able in such a large church to take down two people before she stepped up. And she said, all I could think of was, I've got to kill this guy
Yeah.
before he kills any more of my church members,
Right.
any more of my friends, any more of my family, any more of God's children. And so she took him down. She said she was at point blank with him. She said he I think angels interceded as well as her proficiency with a weapon. But she said he shot at me number of times. We actually had a fire war going on, and she said, and he was a good shot. And she said it was a miracle that he didn't hit me. She said, but she took him down because she knew it was something she had no choice. She was the woman of the hour, and
Mhm.
she had to do it. She said, in times like that, she said, you've got to, like you said, return to your training.
You do?
You have to remember who you are and what your mission is. And she says, you can't call 911. You can't wait for somebody to come
No.
save you.
No.
You can't wait for SWAT. You can't. And I thought, man, they interviewed her on several different
Mhm.
newscasts, and I thought this is a strong, determined woman. And today's show is not only about women because
Right.
men are just as proficient with guns as women are.
Right.
Our military is way more men than women. But the problem is a lot of our men are not stepping up. Brant, the cowboy churches.
Oh
I
yeah.
keep I keep going back to that as a model. The
Mhm.
cowboy churches are doing it right because they have a mind, country folks can survive, as Hank Williams Jr.
Yep.
used to sing. But the cowboy churches are comprised of toughened men and women who
Mhm.
they believe in God, country, weaponry, and the right to bear arms in
Right.
order to protect the community.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's where it's at.
They're already positioned.
Yeah.
That's one of the many things I love about the Cowboy Church is, you don't have armed ushers. Everyone's armed. You know what I mean? And they can shoot. Um, and I've seen for over 30 years that almost 40 years, we've been heading towards a Wild West scenario. Um, the more that the Communist Party has been taking control, and the more that the Islamists have been brought in, recruited in, bought in, and that's why we need a new kind of radical. You're so gifted, Heather, with your imagery and your concepts, and even what you put on paper, so to say. And the radical coward has something in common with the radical Islamist, and they're both. I mean, they're both willing to die. Well, the Cowboy Church has people that, hey, it's either kill or be killed. It's either him or
Yeah.
me. And
Hmm.
and I always appreciate that. But if there's ever been a time to get proficient, I remember back in the day where well, I don't need a gun. I got my phone right here, and I just call 911. I can wake up and call 911 by the time they get to me. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. An intruder can gain almost 20 feet per second. Okay. You got to wake up and knowing people that I have known in law enforcement. Do you know how many times a whole town has one cop on duty?
Yeah.
So, folks, and here's something else too. They're not sworn to protect you. I love our cops, but they're not sworn to protect you. They're sworn to uphold the law. I had a friend that he was catching a home intruder. He held him down and waited for the cops. And this was actually up north. And the cops said, "Why didn't you shoot him?" He said, "What? I wouldn't shoot him. Why?" He said, "Why didn't you shoot him? He'll be back out on the street before I'm off duty, invading another home." You got to wake
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
that's why I call out to women warriors. It's up to you. Of course, I love my brothers. I've been ministering to men for 30 years, but unfortunately, we haven't seen a lot of progression from 30 years ago. Bad eggs and boring speakers. Let's try to do the dishes. Boy, you better warrior up with a sword and a gun. And when the ammo is out, what do you do with the knife? You know what I mean? This is real,
Mhm.
folks.
Yeah.
Let's just try to keep our promises. I need to hug a black guy today. Well, I'm not mocking you. That's wonderful. However, Obama set us back 100 years. Okay. The Bushes were a part of it too. I'm in that world, folks. Uh,
Yeah.
we work indirectly with the Trump team, folks. And I don't blindly follow him either. But I believe in our Constitution. I believe in our right to worship and to bear arms. But I'm looking to the women
Yes.
now. I'm looking to the women now. But you find a lot of them in the Cowboy Church. And like that woman, that brave woman in Colorado Springs at Ted Haggard's old church, she
Yeah.
stopped the threat. It's time to stop, look, pray, prepare, arm, train, and battle in this spirit and
That's
fight for your children.
Yep, that's good. And here's another thing that we need to think about too. And the last 4 years prior to Trump, I'm for goodness, righteousness, and wise decisions.
Right.
And the last 4 years has been spent trying to disarm and defund our
Yeah.
military and our police, or especially our police force. So, like you said, some towns, like the little town I live in, I
Yeah.
don't even know. I think it's I think it's the county that has a sheriff's deputy assigned to us. I don't really know.
Right.
It's but there's so many in the big city that their police force has been cut in half because of defund the police.
Right.
So your 911 time of response, I don't know, I wouldn't count on that, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, people will find out very soon. I've known this for a long time because of what I do, but people find out very soon that the same people that want to defund the police are the same people that want to disarm you. They're the same people who destroy the family, the same people who want to cause gender confusion, the same people that want to mutilate young girls, the same people that support child sex trafficking, the same people, the same people, the same people. And you just follow the money. But it's time to call darkness darkness. It's time to stand. It's time to be warriors. Starts in here, starts in here. It ends up in here. Yeah, we have to watch, we have to pray, but we are also human beings living in a country that is under invasion. And I'm not talking about sweet Mexican people looking for a better life. I'm talking about the people, all the weapon caches, all the Qurans found at the border. I'm talking about people that have been brought in, funded, and relocated all over this country. We're at war. We're at a spiritual war. But gone
Yeah.
are the days that we just limit this to spiritual warfare. So you
Yeah.
have to be a warrior, mind, body, heart, and soul. And
Yes.
if it's heavy, well, I'd rather save your life and offend you than just play nice and hope that you make it. As you're trying to figure out why something is happening when you haven't prepared. That's why it's important, to be men. Men, be men. 1 Timothy 5:8. You're an imbecile if you don't provide for your family. You've known this, you know,
Hmm.
but we can't claim to know God and yet in our actions deny him. Titus 1:16. Most leadership
Yeah.
of the church is by men. That's great. But we've seen so much of an exodus.
Hmm.
In the 90s, 70% of your worship leaders were gay. Men checked out. This barefoot candle thing, effeminate men leading worship, drove a lot of men away. You don't have that in the cowboy church, thank the Lord. And so we're seeing a return. So we have to warrior up. We have to be a knight and stand ready. And the warrior mentality is available to all, Heather.
Everybody. Yes. And we need watchmen on the wall. And then if you think that this is separate from being a godly man or a godly woman, you're mistaken because you can go back into the Bible and you can see where the Bible talks about having watchmen on the wall. It's important to guard our cities, to be protectors, to be watching, to see when the enemy is approaching, and to be like the woman at Colorado Springs. She says, be proactive, not reactive. It's too late to start scrambling, trying to remember where your gun is and where is your ammo, because now a lot of times they will tell us to keep it separate, and two
Huh.
separate places because you don't want your kids to get in there. Just lock your guns up with your ammo, have it ready for you to go. If you need it, know where it is, know what to do, have a plan in place. And it's just like a fire drill. Most homes and most families have a fire drill. I know when my daughter was young, we had a fire drill. We knew what to do, where to go, where to meet up. And it's the same thing in case of someone attacking your home or deciding that they have the right to disarm you, to come in and take what they want. You've got to know what your options are and you have to be ready to do it.
And it starts in the heart and the mind. Live pure, speak truth, right, wrong, follow the king,
Follow the king.
be willing to protect and to protect others.
Right. Yeah.
Being able to default to training, and that includes nothing. If you haven't done anything, well, what are you going to do? You're going to panic.
Yeah.
We're not here to scare you, but I'll tell you what, it would be such a disservice to be on the platforms we are and to not speak to you the realities. Okay. And we ended right on time, Heather, perfectly for our showtime. But
Yeah.
folks, we love you.
We
Um,
do.
some of us who've worked with criminals, we know how criminals think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. 10 years of prison ministry for me.
yeah.
I,
So you
I
know
get
what?
it.
Oh, today you better have stop the world today. Stop the world today. And align yourself with the Lord, align yourself in your heart, but then also make today a practical day. What would you do? Do you know what you do if your house is on fire? Have you talked
Yeah.
with your spouse or kids? Do you know what you would do if there was an invasion or someone coming at the door in the middle of, it's been said, if they come during the day, they're coming for what you have. If they come during the night, they're coming for you.
Mm.
If they're coming
Wow.
during the day, they're coming for what you have. If they're coming at night, they're coming for you. We're not told to be afraid. Well, no, don't be afraid, but don't be stupid either. Don't be afraid, but don't be ignorant of the enemy's schemes to kill, steal, and destroy. There's a
Yeah.
whole lot of Christians in China whose pastors did not warn them. Now they're in camps. How do I know? I produced their news. Okay.
Yeah.
Whole lot of Christians in Ukraine. Oh, Jesus was coming back before we get invaded. They're wondering why their pastors. Now, so many of you pastors and churches, I love you and salute you. You're doing the right thing. You're warning the people. You're the watchman on the wall. You protect your flock. We love you. We're so grateful for you. And
Yes.
but we have to be very strong with you right now. I'm amazed that we haven't seen more than what we've seen. But some crazed person, turned loose with a machete in your church. I'll tell you what, I'm cutting off his head before he can scream Allahu Akbar. If I don't have my gun, I'll take off his head. Where's your love? I love the people of God more than I love that person who's allowed the enemy to use them. But we
Yeah.
are at war, and it's real, and it's on, and you better be on guard. And this has been the strongest warrior talk I think we've ever had.
You are probably right. But armor up, guys.
Yeah,
Know your worth.
yeah,
Know your worth and be ready to fight for it. Um, you have the most mighty angel warriors on your side and the mighty God of all gods as your king and your Lord, and he's got you, and he expects you to love yourself as much as he loves you. Just love yourself and your family enough to be willing to do what's necessary, no matter who you are.
no matter who you are, and we love you. Peter, powerful teaching. Thank you, Peter. Yantina, don't worry, being a warrior. No, we don't have to worry. And Sherry Ullman, unloaded gun can get you hurt. There's a lot more comments too,
Yeah.
but folks, really, but I really, we do feel a hearkening to speak to the heart of the women. Okay, and I love my brothers. Don't get me wrong. I've had a lifetime of ministering to men, but we've got to get the women warriors. And I've said for several years, this is a Deborah season. I believe it. I still believe it. It's a Deborah season. And
Yeah.
and so we can talk about how things should be all day long. How many years of meetings in church have we sat through how things should be? We need to face what is, and then make it what it needs to be. And what is the American church is not ready. It's got to get ready. The beautiful
Right.
thing is it can get ready in a day. In a day.
Yep.
And I pray
That's
it
right.
doesn't get ready in a day after we see catastrophe coordinated and
Mm.
well funded by those who want to destroy us. And of course we could talk for days about defunding the police. Those who cry defund the police are the ones that are panicking when the protesters come to their door. They don't want to
Yeah.
defund the police. They're just paid to say that, you know.
Yeah.
And but I tell you what, I talked to plenty of cops too, and citizen justice is much harsher than policies and procedures by the police.
Mm.
But I'll tell you what, you won't have a lot of repeat offenders with citizen justice.
Yeah.
And so our enemies better pray that we don't defund the police, because there's those of us who love our family and country enough that we will make sure the threat doesn't have a chance to return. So
Amen.
protect your women, protect your children, women warriors, rise up. We're just getting started, and that's been another great warrior talk, huh?
Perfect. We love you guys. We'll
Love you.
see you next time.
Bye.